Well, hey guys, I'd like to welcome you to a new segment here on my channel I'm going to be calling Hot Off the Bench. And this is going to be my way of sharing some of your work here. If you recall, at the end of last year, I expressed an interest in doing that here on my channel. And so rather than taking pictures that I've been sent of completed projects from you guys and including them in videos that I create here of my own model projects, because I think they would just get lost there, I decided to create a separate video segment here to do that. So in these segments, I'll post them occasionally here on my channel, and I will include projects from 3 to 5 modelers, and then I'm going to follow that up with a brief discussion of a product that I think you might find of interest, and wrap up the segment with a quick modeling tip. So in this video, I'm going to share some projects from 5 modelers, and then we're going to talk about painting masks. These are masks designed by Mask Designs, and they are made for the 1/1000 scale Enterprise model from Discovery. If you recall, I built that ship at the end of last year and used the decal sheets. However, they do make painting masks that allow you to create that Aztec pattern. In fact, the first model I'm going to show you used those masks, and it turned out great. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, and then I will share a quick tip about weathering. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first model here is from modeler Brian Wilkerson, who built the Enterprise from Discovery, but he decided to use painting masks instead of the round 2 decals as I did, and this turned out fantastic. The base color consisted of 2 parts of aluminum, 1 part black. He used a dark gray primer and gunmetal gray for the bands that you see on the saucer. And to create the mask effect, he used masks from Mask Designs, which turned out great. The colors used for the pattern are light ghost gray and the gray primer, and both were dusted onto the model. The masks actually include the ship registry, and these were painted black. The link to the mask is below, but I'll give you a little more information about them in just a second. Next, we have a snowspeeder from modeler Adam Dean, who did a really nice job with this 1/144 scale kit. A really nice convincing snow effect, as you can see. And Adam did send some pictures of his Bandai Boba Fett, which he did a nice job on as well. And here we have a couple of models from builder Ronnie Morrison, who sent me this picture of a full-size replica of a fossilized creature from the Black Lagoon hand. This was made from a resin kit. And a 3D printed Forbidden Planet blaster replica that he rigged up with lighting. Pretty fantastic. Next up, we have Mark Fraley's first 3D printed figure model, which is of Grogu from The Mandalorian. The sculpt is a nice likeness, and he did a great job with all of the colors and shading. And here we have a very cool model of one of the tanks from Space 1999. This kit is available from UNCL Models. You'll see the link below. I have to say I'm not familiar with this company, but this would be a very cool model to add in my collection. Nice job, Barry. And last is a very unique project from modeler Ken Spriggs. Here we have a figure model of Ahsoka as she appeared on The Mandalorian last season. The sculpt is actually a combination of 2 STL files. He started with the one of the body, but replaced its head with another file that had a better likeness of Rosario Dawson, who of course played the character on the show. The project is one that includes some firsts for Ken. This was the first time he's created a painting mask with a vinyl cutter, and he did this to create Ahsoka's facial tattoos. He painted the face white, applied the masks, then sprayed on the orange. And he achieved the impressive lightsaber effect using filaments from light bulbs, a technique he shows how to do in a video on his channel, of which you'll find the link below. The background, by the way, for the diorama was created by Mark Fraley and recreates the planet seen on the show. Thanks guys for sending those pictures. Really appreciate you allowing me to share that. And of course, Ken's project is still a work in progress. I promise to share pictures of the completed project in a future segment of Hot Off the Bench. So if you'd like to have your model featured in this segment, feel free to email them to interstellarmodeler@gmail.com, and I'll be more than happy to do so. So let's go ahead and spend a minute to talk a little bit more in detail about those painting masks for the Discovery. Now, I reached out to Mask Designs, and you can find them on Facebook. Again, the link is below. And Gary from Mask Designs was kind enough to contact me and filled me in on what they have available. So they again have these painting masks for the 1/1000 scale Discovery. Here's yet another model that sports that great looking Aztec pattern. And they also have masks for the 1-350 refit Enterprise, as well as the 1-350 refit NCC 171A, and they have a painting mask for the 1/537 scale of the refit Enterprise as well. Now what's interesting is they also make this other painting masks for a lamp that is sold at IKEA that many have converted to look like the Death Star. This is what it looks like here. And certainly you can try to make this with masking tape, but the masks that are designed from Mask Designs make it a bit easier, no doubt. So that's pretty interesting. I've actually never seen that lamp, but it looks really cool. And one other little project I wanted to share with you here is one that I did in January. Blackheart Models has these great busts of the Star Trek characters. They have some really nice likenesses, and before doing one, I wanted to gain some confidence by practicing on some 3D printed busts. So I finally got around to working on the first one, and this is of Captain Kirk, and this is how he turned out. Pretty happy with it overall. I'll go ahead and list the colors down below that I used for this bust. But I think it's a great sculpt to work with. You'd have fun with it. It is a very good likeness, I think, of William Shatner as Captain Kirk there from the classic original series. I've seen a number of different sculpts of William Shatner through the years, as all of us have, and I think this has a very good likeness. For some reason, he's not that easy to come up with a good likeness of, but I think they did a great job here. Okay, well, it's now time to wrap things up with a quick model tip, and what I'd like to talk about here is how to add scorch marks and streak marks to your model. Now, Star Wars kits are a lot of fun to do. There's a lot of weathering and battle damage, things of that sort that you have to add to your model. Really one of the funnest parts of the build. And what I used to use when I got back into modeling many years ago was to use pastels. And these were great because they were cheap. Buy them in these little sticks that you just grind them into a fine powder on sandpaper, and you just apply them to your model with a dry brush. One limitation, however, that I found with that technique was that I couldn't quite get as fine of a streak as I wanted, particularly if I was building, say, the Millennium Falcon. I just found it a little difficult to get the streaks to look right. So I eventually found these Tamiya Weathering Master kits, and this is what I've used ever since. They come in a variety of colors, and they are definitely useful for not only applying streaks and scorch marks, but for adding other types of detailing as well. Now, I remember as a kid, I tried adding scorch marks to an AMT Enterprise to create my own constellation. Raise your hand if you tried that. So that's definitely one method, but this one is a lot safer. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So, as I said, they do come in a variety of colors. We have two different ones here. We have the Tamiya Weathering Master B, and then we've got this other one. This was labeled for Japanese ships. And you can see this comes with deck tan, orange, rust, gray, and this one has snow, soot, and rust, and there are a number of others. Now, inside the little kit is included an applicator. And you can actually run through this applicator fairly quickly because when you're dealing with contoured surfaces, it can kind of chew up the applicator and eventually you're not getting the type of look that you want. So you can actually replace the applicator very easily by going to a makeup department at a drugstore, and you get these little applicators that have the same spongy material. And you can get a bunch of these really cheap, and that way you don't have to worry that you're ruining your little applicator from the kit. So it's very simple to do. Let's go ahead and take a look here. We've got an old X-Wing model that I've primed over, and we're just going to apply some streak marks along here. So it's like a little makeup kit for your model. It's very simple. You just take the applicator and dip it into, or rub it into the pigment that you want to apply to your model. And you just start at one end and you just brush it along the surface, and you'll notice you get streaks very easily. And for laser marks, you can start in the center, making a little dot like that, and you can just kind of stretch it out in this sort of fashion, in a radial type fashion here. You can also use some of the other colors to apply say dirt and grime onto the surface. So we'll just take it and start applying it all over, and you can see that it's very, very easy to work with. And you combine this with a wash, and it does a great job giving you the effect that you're after. Now once you're done, you obviously want to seal everything with a clear coat so that it doesn't get rubbed off. One thing about this pigment, unlike pastels, is that it actually is a little harder to rub off, but nonetheless you do want to make sure that you seal it with a clear coat. Okay, well that includes this first edition of Hot Off the Bench. Hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. Again, if you want any of your models featured on any of these segments, feel free to email them to interestedmodeler@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where I will start my first project of 2021, and that's going to be of Slave 1. I'll see you then. Take care.